Hi, English learners. Welcome to English Unlocked, the Oral Mastery. Think of this as your daily dose of inspiration, where learning English feels like a breeze and improving your life feels like home. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Jenny.
So, this past weekend, I actually decided to do something a little radical. I took my phone, I held the power button until it turned completely off. I placed it in a desk drawer, and I just walked away.
Oh, wow. Just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
For 2 entire days, I lived completely without it. No screen, no notifications.
That sounds honestly incredibly refreshing. I feel like we so rarely give ourselves permission to disconnect so completely from the digital world, you know?
Right. It was wonderful. But the real surprise for me wasn't just about getting away from the screens or like the social media apps.
What was it then?
The real peace came from escaping what I call the noise of explanation. I mean, I didn't text anyone about my weekend plans. I didn't post any photos of my breakfast. I didn't have to justify how I spent my Saturday morning to anyone. And it made me realize something quite heavy, actually. We spend so much of our daily energy performing for an audience that, well, isn't even in the room with us.
That is such a fascinating way to describe it, a performance. It's like we act like we are living on a stage all the time.
Exactly.
We constantly explain our actions and our choices and even our tiny mistakes because we just assume everyone is eagerly watching the show.
Yeah, we assume people care about the tiny details of our lives much more than they actually do.
Yeah.
And, that realization brings us to the core theme of our deep dive today. We are exploring a concept called the silent edge.
The silent edge. I love that term. It is a concept that really challenges the way we normally operate in the world.
Right. So our mission today is to discover how choosing silence can become like an incredible superpower in your life. We are going to uncover how stepping away from that imaginary stage shifts your mental focus.
Yeah, and we will look at how silence creates a sort of shield. A shield to protect your daily energy from unnecessary drama.
And most importantly, for you listening, we are going to connect this directly to your journey as an English learner. We will see how silence can actually help you master spoken English.
People usually think of silence as just an absence of action. They think silence means you just have nothing to say, or that you are simply doing nothing.
Yeah, like you're frozen.
Exactly. But as we will explore today, silence is actually a very active, very deliberate choice.
So let's start with that imaginary stage we mentioned earlier. Before we can really use silence as a tool, we have to understand why we are so terrified of it. I mean, why do we feel this burning need to fill every quiet moment with words?
That is the big question. Why do we constantly over-explain ourselves? Well, the root cause of this behavior comes down to a psychological phenomenon. It is known as the spotlight illusion.
The spotlight illusion. Okay, when I hear that, I instantly picture like a dark, completely empty theater. You step out onto the stage, and suddenly, boom, a blinding, bright white light hits you right in the face.
That is the perfect mental image. Seriously. When you are standing under a spotlight, you feel completely exposed. You feel like everyone in the audience can see every single tiny move you make.
Right. Like if your hands are shaking, they see it.
Exactly. If you stumble over a single word, they hear it. So the spotlight illusion is our false belief that we are walking through our daily life with that bright light shining directly on us.
Oh, man.
We walk into a grocery store or a classroom or a business meeting, and our brain tricks us into believing that everyone is actively analyzing our every move.
I really want to connect this directly to the listener's experience right now.
Yeah.
Because for an English learner, the spotlight illusion is incredibly intense.
No, absolutely.
When you are trying to speak a language that is not your native tongue, you feel like that spotlight is burning hot. If you use the wrong verb tense or if you mispronounce a simple word, panic just sets in.
Oh, yes. The panic is so real.
You immediately think, oh no, everyone heard that mistake. They all think I'm foolish. They think I'm not smart.
And you feel an immediate urge to apologize, right? You want to quickly explain yourself to the audience.
Right.
You might say, oh, I'm sorry, my English is so bad. I only started learning last year. You perform this whole apology just to protect yourself from their judgment.
But let's look at the actual mechanics of this situation. Let's do a reality check for a second. Is the audience really judging us that harshly? Are they actually staring at us?
Not at all. The reality is almost humorous when you step back and really look at it. The people around you are not judging your English mistakes because, well, they are too busy dealing with their own spotlight.
Oh, wow. Because everyone suffers from the spotlight illusion.
Precisely. Everyone has it. Imagine that room full of people again. Nobody is actually watching the stage. Instead, every single person in the room is holding their own personal spotlight, pointing it directly at their own face and worrying about how they look.
That is such a great visual.
Right. The native speaker you are talking to is probably worrying about whether they sound smart or if they have food in their teeth or what they need to buy at the store later. They are simply not investing their mental energy into judging your grammar.
That completely changes the perspective. Because everyone feels like they are the one on stage, they are far too nervous about their own performance to deeply analyze yours.
Exactly. And when you truly accept this fact, a massive weight just lifts off your shoulders. You stop trying to constantly defend your mistakes, you step out of the light, and you resign from being an actor.
I hear that. And conceptually, it makes perfect sense. But let's talk about the reality of an actual conversation. If I'm speaking with someone in English and I suddenly forget a word, the resulting silence feels agonizing.
It feels like an eternity.
It does. If I just pause and stay quiet while I search my brain for the right vocabulary, it feels incredibly awkward. I mean, doesn't that silence make me look incompetent? If I don't fill the gap with words, won't people assume I just don't understand the language at all?
That is the great fear of every language learner. You feel like silence equals failure. But let's look at how that fear changes your behavior. When you panic in that quiet moment, what do you usually do?
Well, I start rambling. I say, and I just grab any random word I can think of, even if it makes no sense, just to break the silence.
Exactly. You react out of fear. You just fill the air with empty noise. But what if you chose to simply let the silence sit there for a second? Silence does not make you look weak or invisible. It actually makes you look incredibly comfortable.
Comfortable? Wait, really? How does a pause show comfort?
Think about it. When you allow a brief moment of silence, it shows the other person that you are not panicking. You are just taking a deep breath. You are tuning out the imaginary audience, and you are giving your brain the necessary time to process the English language naturally.
Ah, I see.
Think about native speakers. They pause all the time to gather their thoughts. They do not rush to fill every single second with noise. When you use silence to collect yourself, you build a deeper kind of strength. You project a quiet confidence.
So by stepping off the imaginary stage and just embracing a short pause, we actually prove our confidence. And I imagine that by dropping this constant performance, we stop wasting so much mental bandwidth.
Oh, a huge amount.
If we aren't worrying about the spotlight, we suddenly have a lot of extra energy left over.
You do. You reclaim a massive amount of mental energy. But that introduces a brand new challenge. Once you have this extra energy, the world is going to try to take it from you.
Right.
So you have to learn how to protect it in your daily life.
That is a perfect transition.
Yeah.
If our energy is like a daily budget, like coins in a purse, we have to be very careful about where we spend our coins. And unfortunately, there are people out there who want to empty our wallets. So let's talk about energy drainers.
An energy drainer is a person or maybe a situation that completely depletes your mental focus. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and when it finally ends, you feel physically tired, like you need a nap?
Absolutely. It usually happens with people who just complain endlessly about problems they refuse to fix. Or, people who desperately need constant approval from everyone around them.
Those are classic energy drainers. And because we are so used to performing on that stage, we often fall right into their hands. We fall into what we can call the 10-minute explanation trap.
Oh, I know this trap very well. Let's give an example. Let's say you decide to decline an invitation. A friend invites you to a loud party on a Friday night, but you have a big English exam coming up.
Okay, a very realistic scenario.
Right. You want to stay home, make a cup of tea, and just study. So your friend texts you and asks, "Why aren't you coming?"
And this is exactly where the trap snaps shut. Instead of simply stating your decision, you feel the urge to put on a show. You feel this intense need to justify yourself.
Right. You start typing this massive paragraph on your phone. You say, oh, I'm so sorry. I really wanted to come, but I have this exam and I've been so tired from work lately and I really need to practice my vocabulary. Please don't be mad at me.
Yeah.
You literally spend 10 minutes crafting the perfect defense for your simple choice.
And think about how much mental currency you just spent on that text message. You exhausted yourself trying to manage your friend's emotions. By the time you finally open your English book, your motivation is completely gone. You're drained.
So how does the silent edge actually help us here?
Silence acts as a protective shield. I want you to remember this very clearly, and this goes for everyone listening. You do not owe the world a long explanation for your personal choices.
Wow. That goes against almost everything we are taught about being polite, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it is incredibly liberating. I do not owe you a performance.
You do not. A polite but firm, no thank you, I cannot make it tonight. That is a complete sentence. You hold up your shield of silence.
I love that.
You do not offer extra details for the energy drainer to argue with. You simply protect your budget.
I can definitely see how that works for a party invitation. But let's raise the stakes a bit. What about situations that are actively hostile?
Okay, like what?
What about open conflict or drama? I mean, like office gossip or a neighbor yelling over a fence or an aggressive comment on social media. If someone attacks me, doesn't silence look like I am surrendering? If I stay quiet, won't they think they have won?
This is a fantastic question, and it is really where the true power of silence becomes clear. To understand how to handle drama, we need to understand how drama operates. Drama does not work like a one-way street. Drama is much more like a game of tug of war.
A tug of war. Okay, so two people pulling hard on opposite ends of a thick rope.
Exactly. For the game to continue, both people have to hold tightly to the rope and pull. Drama feeds entirely on resistance. It needs your emotional reaction to survive.
I see where this is going.
If someone comes to you with gossip or an aggressive comment, they are essentially handing you their end of the rope. They want you to pull back. They want you to get angry and defend yourself.
So if someone makes a rude comment about my English, let's say they mock my accent or they tell me I speak too slowly, the natural human reaction is to grab that rope and pull as hard as I can.
Right.
I want to say, how dare you? Do you know how many hours I study every single day?
Of course you do. Your pride is hurt. But let's apply the silent edge here. Imagine that instead of grabbing the rope, you simply look at them. You don't frown, you don't smile, and you don't say a single word. You just let the silence stretch out.
What happens to the drama then?
It starves. Think back to the game of tug of war. If you are pulling on a rope and the other person simply lets go, what happens to you?
You fall over backwards. You look ridiculous.
Exactly. The conflict dies instantly because there's absolutely no resistance. By remaining silent, you refuse to play their game. You don't give them any material to use against you. The argument ends before it even starts.
That is a brilliant way to handle hostility. You actually win the battle by simply refusing to step onto the battlefield. You keep your energy safely behind your shield.
And when you avoid these constant, draining tug-of-war matches, you arrive at the end of the day with a full battery. Which brings us to the most important question. What do you actually do with all this protected energy?
Well, you spend it on your goals. You spend it on actual meaningful growth.
But just like everything else we have discussed today, there is a loud way to pursue your goals, and there is a silent way. And the loud way is actually a very dangerous trap.
It really is. A lot of people believe that if they want to achieve something big, they need to announce it to the entire world. They think that declaring their intentions will somehow hold them accountable.
I see this all the time. An English learner decides they want to master, say, 500 new vocabulary words this month. The very first thing they do is post about it on social media. Or they tell all their friends at lunch, they say, I have a massive new goal. I am going to study 2 hours every night.
And what happens the exact moment they announce that big plan?
The praise rolls in. The friends say, wow, you are so dedicated. People leave likes and comments saying, you are amazing. Good luck.
And how did that praise make the brain feel?
It feels fantastic. You feel super proud of yourself. That feeling is exactly the problem. We call this the fake satisfaction trap. When you receive praise for merely announcing your goal, your brain processes that applause as an actual reward. It releases a rush of feel-good chemicals, like dopamine.
Wait, really? So the brain cannot tell the difference between the praise for just planning the work and the pride of actually finishing the work?
Precisely. Your brain thinks, great job, we achieved something. You get the emotional reward before you have opened a single book. And because you already feel satisfied, your hunger to actually do the difficult work drops to almost zero.
That explains so much. You feel like a success just by talking about success. But the vocabulary book is still sitting closed on the desk. The applause actually kills your drive.
This is why silence is the ultimate superpower for achieving your goals. The philosophy is simple. Talk less, move more.
Talk less, move more.
Yes. When you keep your goals entirely to yourself, you do not get any premature praise. You have to actually do the work to get the reward. You give your goals a quiet, safe space to grow, completely free from the pressure and the opinions of outside observers.
Talk less, move more. That is a brilliant rule to live by. But, I have to bring up a realistic challenge here.
Okay, what is it?
If a listener really takes this advice to heart, their life is going to look very different. I mean, they step out of the spotlight. They stop giving long, dramatic explanations to their friends. They drop the rope when drama starts. They stop announcing their plans. And they just quietly study and improve themselves.
Right. They become highly focused.
Yes, but in reality, doesn't that focus come with a massive social cost? If you suddenly stop playing the old games, your friends are going to notice. They might get upset. They might say, you never come out anymore. You don't tell us anything. You have changed and you aren't fun anymore. They make change sound like a betrayal.
That is a very common and honestly a very painful part of personal growth. When you change your habits, the people around you often feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They preferred the older, louder version of you because they knew exactly how to interact with that version. They knew how to pull you into their drama.
So how should an English learner deal with that kind of guilt trip from their friends?
You have to fundamentally reframe your understanding of change. Growth is change. You simply cannot grow into a fluent, confident, highly skilled English speaker while remaining the exact same person you were yesterday.
You cannot carry all your old habits into your new life.
Exactly. You are not required to stay the old version of yourself just to keep other people's worlds comfortable and predictable. Your primary job is your own growth. You have every right to quietly protect the new person you are becoming.
This connects so deeply to what we teach here at Oral Mastery. When people imagine a master of the English language, they often picture someone who is loud. They picture someone who speaks 100 miles an hour, dominating the conversation and proving how smart they are with really complex words.
But true peace and true mastery never needs to prove itself with noise. A person who is truly confident carries themselves with a quiet grace.
They know that language is a tool for connection, not a weapon for showing off. True mastery is knowing exactly when to speak and exactly when silence speaks much louder than any words you could possibly find.
Silence is not an empty gap. It is a space filled with intention, protection, and profound focus.
What a beautiful way to summarize it. We have covered some truly life-changing concepts today. To make sure these ideas really stick with you on your language journey, it is time for our final segment. Welcome to the Word Tour.
I love this part. The word tour is our chance to lock in the key vocabulary we explored today.
Exactly. We will briefly review the main terms so you can confidently add them to your English toolkit. The first term we explored today was the spotlight illusion.
Right. The spotlight illusion is the false, anxious belief that an invisible audience is constantly watching and judging your every move. Remember the reality check here. People are not judging your English mistakes. They are entirely focused on their own spotlight, worrying about their own performance.
Beautifully said. The second major concept on our tour is energy drainers.
Energy drainers are people or dramatic situations that steal your mental currency. You often fall into the trap of giving them 10-minute explanations for your simple choices. Your best defense against them is the shield of silence. You just drop the rope and refuse to play their game.
A vital lesson for sure. And the final term on our word tour, fake satisfaction.
Fake satisfaction is the deceptive rush of pride you feel when you announce a big goal to the world. You receive praise before doing any actual work, which totally kills your motivation. The antidote to this trap is simple. Talk less, move more. Let your actual results make the noise.
Talk less, move more. 3 powerful concepts that will transform both your English skills and your daily peace of mind. As we wrap up this deep dive, do you have a final provocative thought to leave with our listeners today?
I do. I want you to actively look for an opportunity today. Watch for a moment where you feel the sudden burning need to over-explain a simple decision to a friend. Or watch for a moment where someone tries to pull you into a silly, unnecessary argument. When that moment happens, ask yourself, what would happen if I simply smiled, held up my shield, and chose the silent edge instead?
What a fantastic challenge for the day. See what happens when you let the silence do the heavy lifting for you. Well, that brings us to the close of our discussion. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It has been a true privilege exploring these ideas with you. Keep protecting your energy and keep trusting your own quiet growth.
We hope you walk away today feeling empowered and inspired. Remember, your journey to English fluency does not have to be a loud, stressful performance. Learning English feels like a breeze when you protect your peace. Keep moving forward, keep growing, and embrace your silent edge. We will catch you on the next deep dive.